This about another potential scandal regarding Uber.
The New York Times reporting Uber has utilized a program for several years to deceive law enforcement officials in cities where the ride-sharing service was outlawed. Minutes ago, Uber sent CNBC this statement. It says, "This program denies ride requests to fraudulent users who are violating our terms of service, whether that's people aiming to physically harm drivers, competitors looking to disrupt our operations, or opponents who collude with officials on secret stings meant to entrap drivers." Joining us now is the reporter of this story, Mike Isaac of the New York Times. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So in the Uber, let's back up for a second so people know what we're talking about. This is a program called Greyball, which in the description that you have in the story here makes it so that if I'm a cop in a city where Uber's not allowed, in Portland is your example here, I believe, and I tried to hail Uber, at least as of a couple of years ago, I would be greyballed because they knew I was a cop. I would get ghost cars on my app that weren't real ones. Is that right?
Yeah, so essentially they set up the program in 2014, 2015, when a lot of the cities that now Uber's legal in didn't really have a framework for UberX, their low-cost program. So code enforcement officers and in some cases law enforcement officers would set up sting operations in order to catch drivers operating what the city would say illegally. Uber would contend that they were operating within the bounds of the law, and essentially tag them or greyball them and be able to evade them afterwards. You know, whether that was sending them a fake version of the app or blocking them entirely, right. Or just yeah. So it was pretty crafty.
Okay, so let's revisit the statement from Uber where they say, they admit that they were trying to avoid opponents who collude with officials on secret stings meant to entrap drivers. I mean, they admit that that's what this is all about. I guess it comes down to the issue of whether they're operating illegally in cities where they have been prohibited from operating, right?
Yeah, I think Uber's point here is that they used these tactics for a number of different purposes, and my sources, confirm this too. There are countries in which they operate now, in which drivers are under attack from taxi cab companies or other people who don't want Uber there, and so Uber would use some of these tools to obfuscate their location and keep the drivers safe, and that's totally fair. What I found is that this other sort of branch of how they used grayballing was to evade code and law enforcement, and that was something they did systematically and printed up a playbook and distributed it to general managers in dozens of cities all over the world.
So this was not just an incident isolated to Portland and a handful of officers they were aware of. You're saying if I was a cop or a code enforcer in one of many cities, maybe Las Vegas, where Uber wasn't allowed, most likely, if I tried to use this, is it the case maybe even personally? Would the app basically just not work for me?
So if they ended up grayballing you, the thing is they didn't want to outright ban code enforcement officers or police officers because they didn't learn anything else if they banned you from using the service. So keeping you in, seeing how many times you open the app and what devices you were using to access the app actually helped Uber learn more about code enforcement officers' tactics, or Lyft and their competitors' tactics, or taxi cab companies and their tactics. So they actually learn more from keeping you on the app.
All right, so let's take it to the next step then, Mike. What next? I mean, are we likely to hear from prosecutors in various cities willing to prosecute them for the use of this app, this device?
It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard to tell just because this happened 2 years ago. They still say that they're using it mostly outside of the country to protect driver safety. But I talked to a lawyer when I was reporting this out, and there are questions of whether they were obstructing justice in order to sort of escape code enforcement officers or not, or if they were breaking any other potential laws, federal laws versus state laws. So it's really a matter of whether prosecutors in these states or at a federal level want to pursue it.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.